Hey Mark, Charlie, good to hear from you. In preparing for our meeting, I thought I'd show you some of what Sigma Design has been doing in the last year or so. In my life, a lot has changed. I'm more of a space manager and a space maintainer. I have about 2,000 unique units of space that we manage and control. Most of that is occupied by tenants, be they from a small of maybe 500 square foot, one bedroom efficiency apartment to maybe a 20,000 square foot warehouse. We have apartments and shopping centers and offices and warehouses like that we own and operate. But we've woven several technologies together to try to give me better control of all of that space. My personal mission is to drill down, into each unique apartment, for instance, and be able to understand the facts about that, be it the financial facts or the physical facts relating to that space. So let me show you what we've been working on. One of the things that we've recently done is hook into our accounting database, relational database, and now we are creating graphic charts, of interesting information. This particular chart I'm showing you right here is the most important to me. This is on our multifamily properties, and what you're seeing there is we update this daily. So essentially a live chart of the the dollar implications, if you will, of our multifamily. And bars to the right are bad, and bars to the left are good. Right now we're losing about $83,000 a month on multifamily. That if it were 100% occupied, we would get back, and for us that would pretty much be 100% profit. So we're highly motivated to try to become efficient on that. And things like the vacancy chart, have helped me act upon the issues to do whatever's necessary to lease those spaces. So if I go to one of our Baton Rouge properties, for instance, this is Cambridge Apartments in Baton Rouge. It pulls up a space, and now, again, for me, being an architect, the visual is very important. How you navigate to this information is very important. So navigating graphically is a preferred method for me, and we've been developing tools, using ARRIS and other tools to create graphics. And now we have the relational databases hooked into these graphics, so I can float across a individual apartment and tell particular things. This is coming off our accounting software about that apartment. Beyond that, as I drag through them, let's go to apartment 122, for instance, and click on 122, and then it gives me a series of choices that are there. And so I could, for instance, go and hit show floor plan, or do my work order, we call these make-readies, inspection checklists, or my work orders from that, and of course drill down into that apartment. Now, in going back to beyond that, the mobility of this information has become very important to me. And so obviously I'm able to link this, off these new form factors like these new tablets. What's interesting, I don't know if you've heard of WEDI technology, but this particular tablet is an Intel chip that has a WEDI technology, which then mirrors up on any HD TV what's going on my screen. So that's become an interesting technique, but particularly the mobility, not only for myself, but we see this being useful for people in the field. So I'm going to go back, for instance, looking back at show floor plan. Now here's where ARRIS comes in. This is a file created in ARRIS, and using new technologies that were introduced in ARRIS 9.5 for smart RIs. But again, what's good about this floor plan is it's a completely measurable floor plan, so I can do little queries on it in distance queries, or if I wanted to, I can go do a quick little square footage. It's about 600 square feet right here. We'll clear that off of there. And then go in and read my smart RIs, for instance, so I could go take this range here. And now in the new ARRIS Smart RI, I'm keeping up with however I want to describe it, which can be defined in ARRIS, or even more importantly, and I'll show this on a retail example, which is more familiar for what you do. But I'm able to link to anything. I think there might be 11 unique ways that I can link nowadays off of an ARRIS Smart RI. But for instance, I could point to a web page, and it pull up that web page. Or more importantly, particularly maybe for someone like you, is I can actually make a direct SQL call from that link, or images or PDFs or whatever. So on to an example that's probably more familiar to you guys and what you do. This is like a retail situation, store, space, if you will. And again, I find it useful, for instance, if I had a quick notion of how big is that. In this case, it's almost 124,000 square feet, or again, perhaps I wanted to know, it's 274 feet more or less in that direction, and it's 446 feet more or less in that direction. And again, remember that I also can do that precisely, so for instance, if I wanted to go in a very particular place and find out a very particular dimension, I could go point to point and find out that particular thing is 7 foot 10 inches. Again, if I wanted to drill in to that column, for instance, and find out that dimension, you'll see that little gray thing, it snaps and tells me that that's 9 inches, So it's interesting because, without a very complex set of tools, I'm able to find out, very interesting things that might help me analyze. Now, as you saw in our example with the apartments, with ARRIS new Smart RIs, and here's a little query button in easy for it. As I float over the various RIs, they flash. Now we can imagine that the information of those RIs coming up, much like it did as you saw on the apartment, where you just as you go over it, it tells you unique things about that. We made a couple of smart RIs in here. I think here's one particular checkout. If I click on that checkout, it pulls up things that we have defined in ARRIS for that particular checkout. In this case, I think we've linked it to its cut sheet, and there's its cut sheet, and now I can scroll through that information. Again, this is why this form factor is so great. I could be in the field doing this, finding out important things I want to know about that. Go back to page 1. Maybe I need to read something about it. And again, very powerful implications. And I think what we're trying to solve here is the whole ease of use. That we're hooking relational databases like work order databases, maintenance databases, accounting databases. But our way of navigating to that is more in the physical form factor of the space itself, and as we navigate, it even tells the relational databases where we are. So I thought you might be interested in seeing what we're doing, and look forward to our conversation later today. Thanks.